this doesn't sound controversial, but the SD, I think he's not knowledgeable enough. You need to have someone who's gonna bring ideas from an external point of view.
Hello, my brother. Welcome to Khosi Nation KNFTV.
Greetings, Mpilo. Greetings. I hope you're doing well, my brother. Thank you for inviting me over, and greetings to your viewers as well.
I want us to start in this place where Jessica Mtaung said that Kaizer Chiefs are looking to play in Africa, dominate in Africa, and stuff like that. I'm wondering if Kaizer Chiefs had to say this out loud to sort of convince us that now they are focused on Africa. Do you think that Kaizer Chiefs in the past few years have been kind of neglecting African football?
For me, in terms of the vision, in terms of what they have on paper, the statement you just mentioned about conquering Africa, it's there. But in implementation and in how they do things, for me, it's not there, because I can recall the time Gavin Hunt was with the team in the Champions League. Yes, because he said himself, I think it's public for anyone to see that. He was told that what's more important is the league. Him finishing well in the league, it's more important than the glory that he may get in the Champions League. So it shows, I think by action, it shows in terms of what the management wanted. They didn't want the team to finish out of the top 8. They'd rather say they sacrificed the team to finish there instead of the team winning the Champions League. So for me, I think in writing, it's something they talk about, but in implementation, it's something they don't do.
Because to me, I've also been wondering, because there are two things that are connected to dominating in Africa. And to me, at times, it feels like we're now forced to do it and focus on African football because Aus Jessica is now working in this African football league sort of a thing, which is the same thing with women's team. It seems like now we're forced to have a women's team because it's a requirement if you want to have a men's team in African football. So I am just wondering, Uguti, from their sense or from their point of view, why would they not want to actually be present in African football? What would be the reason for that?
I think for me, there's a lot of pressure, especially on the management side, to win accolades locally here. Because if you can talk about the time that we last won a trophy, I think it's more like 9 years ago.
Yeah, 2015.
So I think for me, the pressure on them is about winning the league or maybe a local cup. Because for you to win the Champions League or maybe participate there, your team has to be well structured.
Yeah.
You need to have a good team for you to compete there. You need to have a good team. So I think for them, they've been trying to get something here locally, but unfortunately they haven't got it. And it's precisely because of them not doing things right. So I believe they have that vision, but I think where they're lacking is the implementation. That's why I think they're lacking. And Jessica being there, also being an ambassador there, it's something that also from her personally, I think she would love to see the team there. But unfortunately, we need to fix the house before venturing into the other borders. Yes.
You know what you just said is actually very powerful. It's something that I never thought of. In a way, for me, when I think of African football, I've always just looked at, even when Chiefs were winning, it seemed like they didn't care about African football. But when you bring it to between 2015 and 2023, or 2024, which we're in right now, it's been about, okay, let's win something at home. Because in a way, in their eyes, I guess it would be, it's trickier to go out there and win because they are bigger teams. And in SA, you have a better chance. Which now makes me ask this question, because obviously we need to fix the house before going to Africa. Do you think over the past 2 years, this is my opinion, I might be wrong, I think when they started that Mangete project and buying players for him, when Junior became SD, I personally felt like there was some change there in terms of even the way we approach the transfer market, because we saw Chiefs going out spending big and on Abo Dupree. We saw Chiefs going out even the following season spending on Omsimango, Abo Mtetwa and stuff like that. Even that season it was Abo Mart. Have we turned the corner because the implementation in trying to dominate Africa or even get back into some sort of dominance in South Africa? Do you think that has changed since the SD took over, Junior?
You know, one thing below that I will appreciate is that Kaizer Chiefs at some point they saw they were not doing things right at some point. And I love the fact that they are aware that things were not happening right within the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that shows by the drastic decisions they took, releasing players, the squad overhaul, and all those things. It's something that shows that okay, we are trying to self-correct what we couldn't do previously.
Yeah.
But in doing that, sometimes you can try to fix the house and do things better and try to come up with new things. But for me, where I think somewhere we lost it in terms of trying to reconfigure things.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this doesn't sound controversial, but the SD, he's good, but I think in terms of him being knowledgeable and him being the person who's solely responsible for turning things around, I think he's not knowledgeable enough. Because you remember the time he came, people like Walter Steinbock left, who's now in SAFA now.
Yeah, I remember,
and those
it
were
was
knowledgeable
vital.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, continue.
Yeah. So Junior doesn't have an experience or any background in football where he's turned things around. So you can't expect Junior to, on his own, saying, okay, we are giving you this responsibility of being the sporting director, try to turn things around, link with the admin, also link with the technical team. It's something that's beyond his capacity, for me, in my own view. So I think he could have surrounded himself with someone who's more knowledgeable, someone who's been involved in turning things around within the sports sector, or maybe within, even if it's not football, but in sports in general. So I think him not surrounding himself with someone who's knowledgeable, it's something that's gonna make the process of trying to rebuild or to turn things around a bit longer. Because honestly, Junior doesn't have anything to say I can count on this that he has done. But yeah, he did some things he did right, but some things you can say, okay, this now shows that he's inexperienced in this thing. Maybe if there was someone, we could have taken a certain direction on certain things. Because I think maybe bringing someone is, for me, Atazwane, I understood the vision and all that they did, but I think there was a little factor of being misinformed in how they did things in that rebuilding phase. But yeah, I think it's gonna take too long than it would be when we had someone who was more knowledgeable assisting the sporting director.
I want to continue, but for those of you who don't know, Angitu Walter Steinbock was one who was the scout, right? He was somewhere in the scouting department. Yeah. So for those of you, because we've been asking who's scouting at Chiefs, because Nosine Sipomali, who's now with Bafana, if I'm not mistaken, was also there.
Yeah, he was our performance analyst. He was our performance analyst. Yeah.
And all those guys, boom, they were gone. And the question was, how do we let go of these people and then not have replacements? Because we've never actually received any notice or message that, hey, we've replaced our chief scouting who got us some players. But that's a very, very important thing. And now, because we're talking about the future, we're talking about aspirations, and you are saying that you think this might take time or much longer, since you think SD is somehow misinformed. Which direction then should Chiefs be taking in terms of people closer to football? Because I've seen position I've never seen at Chiefs anywhere else. Like I've seen there is a coach, right? We get it in SA, they are coaches, they are not managers. And Upobi is the football manager. So in a way, it seems like Upobi at Chiefs is the one who's serving like the coach's role. And the coach is more like the coach, but then there's the SD. What's your take
Yeah.
on the structure? Because there's just a lot. Like in Europe, there is
Mm.
sporting director who's going to decide whether the coach or the manager gets the players that he wants, because the sporting director is not just thinking about the current coach, but is mixing the current coach's vision with the overall club vision. So you can't say for Liverpool they want to play attacking football, everyone must be able to move, and then you go and you sign a striker who stays on the box. That's not how Liverpool plays. So the coach is definitely going to say, I want Giroud, but sporting director is going to be like, no, but our football requires this kind of, mobile strikers, some type of thing. Just a random example. But do you think the structured Kaizer Chiefs is conducive into making footballing decisions without politics? Because khona nosibeko somewhere there nje kuningi.
Okay. I don't think it's conducive enough
Mm,
because you need, some point you need gray hair within decision making there, and in terms of implementing things you need gray hair
mm,
with that guidance and a background of having done stuff,
mm,
because if you check now, the role of the sporting director demands a lot. You need to liaise with the management,
mm,
you need to liaise with the technical team, you need to liaise with other supporting structures to the team to ensure that things are done. Even the development, everything that has to do with the team,
mm,
that's football related. You need to liaise with every stakeholder there.
mm,
So now, if you check, like you said, Bobby is the footballing manager, Uziral Sibeko is the team manager.
mm,
And if you were to ask in terms of what's their role, what are they responsible for, what is it that they how do they report,
mm,
the feedback they give and such stuff. And also, you can have someone, maybe me personally, you can have junior only there, because he's also part of the family and the shareholding and everything. You
mm,
need to have someone who's gonna bring um, ideas from an external point of view.
mm,
Someone who can, because now I feel having family there or maybe associates, it's I think in some decisions they get to be conflicted,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So at some point you need someone who's external to come and give you something that's coming from outside instead of someone who's within the circles.
mm,
So I'm not pleased with our surrounding parties and all those that are involved in decision making.
mm,
Yeah. So I think that the atmosphere is not conducive. But
mm,
if we would have someone who's external, I think it would give us something different.
mm. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, most people who are watching even now would agree, Uguti, we need someone whose job is actually that, right? Like they know about scouting, they know who is who in the zoo, in that space, they understand how this whole thing works. Akusikho ukuthi in a most respectful way, akusikho ukuthi team yasekhaya le. So that's why I'm doing this job, but it's more like I understand how to do this. So it does get tricky in that way. But then
Mm.
since we know that it's highly unlikely that Junior might move, on a positive note,
Mm.
though, Nje, before Beta Bantu were too negative, on a positive note,
Yeah.
are there any changes that you are seeing in the structure of the team in terms of technical team, or have you not seen any differences?
Okay, there's been changes. Like I was saying, who Junior has come up with changes. It
Mm,
shows the guys were aware of the things that we are not doing right.
yeah.
It's just a matter of him being knowledgeable enough. But in terms
Mm,
of him bringing changes, I can say to a certain extent I can give him a benefit of the doubt,
mm,
because you can see the players we managed to sign.
sure.
Some of the players are good acquisition,
Mm,
and also the players we've managed to release the decisions,
mm,
and also in terms of bringing certain people to the team to
mm,
try and improve certain. Now we got someone who was with the Springboks at some time.
yeah.
We've also got someone who was with Al Ahly for some time
Yeah.
now. So we've got, yeah. So I think we are doing something, Pilo. We
Mm.
are doing something to try and fix things.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, as I said before, had we had someone who's a bit knowledgeable, working together with Junior, the progress would be much quicker.
Mm.
But Junior has tried. I think he has tried. He has tried. Shame.
Mm.
I can't just say I'm throwing him away and say I this guy can't do it.
Yeah.
There's things that he's done that I can count.
Mm. Now, nansi indaba, because we have the positive of, hey, Junior actually has done pretty well, and one of the things that he actually managed to do was to bring in Calvin Johnson to kind of help the development. But over the past 4 or 5 years, we have Bruce Vuma in goal. We have Ungezana, who we sold. Blom, who we also sold. But currently, the people who are in the squad who are from our development, Vuma, Nkosingphile Ngcobo, why am I forgetting? Sabelo Hatebe, Tutuzi
Mashane,
Shabalala, Umashiane, and then it's Duba, and then now it's Umfundo Vilakazi. What is the problem then?
and I think there's some that you are missing because I think they are now promoted now. Donay Jansen.
Utone Jansen, yeah.
Then and also I think, but maybe it's him. He's not fully there. Siyabonga Gumede, but he's not fully there. And Buntle Molefe, the
Yeah,
goalkeeping department as well.
Ubuntle Molefe bengimshiya beno Jansen. I wanted to leave them because bona unlike abomshini nabo Sabelo Hatebe, those ones have not been with us for like 2 years and we're still calling them youngsters. Mshini, he's 24 now, but we're still calling him a young player. But at 24 you should be entering your prime. Yabo. But abomshini we're still calling
and he's been in the first team for and Umshini is not a youngster. He's been in the first team for more than 5 years now.
Exactly.
You see,
I'm counting them
so he's
because
not a youngster.
I'm counting them because that's what we still say. That's the language we still use.
Yeah.
Umshini is a youngster, Usabelo Hatebe is a youngster, but you see maybe it's 3. If you've been in the senior team for more than 2 years, I don't think we should still be calling you. Well, if you joined at 18, then you are still young at 20. But the problem is you have Bukayo Saka. How old is this boy, Bukayo Saka, to confirm? Is it not 21 or something like that? So you have...
I think he's turning 22. Yeah, you're right.
Bukayo Saka is 22. Ne? Everyone knows he's a youngster. So Phil Foden is 23. That's still relatively young, right? But the man has been playing in the senior team and has been scoring crucial goal and doing big things for the team. So my question is, what has been the problem with us taking these good players? Because I believe Nkosingphile Ngcobo is a very good player. Like whatever anyone says, Nkosingphile Ngcobo is a good player. But what has been the problem with regards to getting them from development to playing them in the senior team, not just regularly, but also consistently giving us A+ performances? What has been stopping that?
Okay. I think when you integrate a young player and bring him into the first team, and the first team is playing well, the football that is being played is free flowing, the structure is up to the right standard, and everything is just well in the team. Trust me, 90% of the time the boy will gel in well.
Yeah.
He will fit in, and I don't want to make an example with other teams, but yeah, you'll see the youngster playing well, performing, playing into his abilities, also gaining confidence. And also now, for a youngster to gain confidence, majority of the time it depends on support being the senior players around him, and also support being the fans, because they are very reactionary. Because now if the fans are not receptive to him, then you'll kill the young man. So for me, I think if the team is well structured and everything is fine, then the youngster will gel well. But now if the team is not performing, is trying to find itself, there's a lot of challenges in the team, and also the team is not winning, then the pressure becomes too much.
Yeah.
And you can't expect a 16 or 17-year-old or 18, anyone below 21 years to have that maturity to take things as they are. Obviously, they are reactionary, they are children, so they will react in a way that has a little bit of immaturity, and they won't play to their best. The confidence, you'll see a player playing well in MDC, come to the first team now he's struggling. You're like, what happened? What is it? So I can make many examples. You can see Umdu. Umdu, when he first came into the first 2 games, the boy was playing very well, very well. But from there, the confidence levels uh, uh, dropped a bit, and also now he's being given an opportunity, like briefly, because why the team is not playing well.
Yeah.
Now I lose the confidence and he starts to doubt himself. Am I good enough to play for the first team? So those little factors play a huge role in a young player. So I think it's for us, the challenge is that we've been struggling. There's been a lot of pressure for our team. So the youngsters have not been having it well. But there was a certain phase where I thought some of the youngsters were trying to get it figured, the likes of Mashiane, Ngobo, during the era of Kevin Hunt. But after that, because some coaches that came, they didn't believe in them. Then
I have a
things
question.
changed, my brother.
This is not to knock down Kevin Hunt, but did Kevin Hunt play those guys because he had to, or because he actually believed in them? Because I mean, look at Blom, look at Ngezan. All those guys came to age, or if you will, in the time when we were forced to not sign anyone. So those boys were forced to step up under that coach. And now the question is, was it just a situation of, I look around, my squad depth is not good enough, so I have to go to the MTC? Because I think we saw the same thing with Chelsea. When the year that they won the Champions League, they didn't have a choice but to use Abo Mount, to also use Abo Tammy Abraham, to use Abo Loftus-Cheek, and then the team played well. And then the following season, they used 250 million, then the squad just went down. You remember that, right? They started playing bad, and now they got to sold to another person who's owning the Mutot Boli and the whatever, and they spend billions, but they're not making money. So was it a matter of Gavin Hunt being forced and not having a choice, which is not me trying to take credit away from him? Or because if I look at the previous seasons, I've never seen such an influx from the development. Ukuthi kuzongena uMashiyane, uNgcobo, uBlom, uNgezana, like 4 or 5 development players to be starters in the senior team. So what do you think there was? What was the difference with Gavin Hunt if it's him who just discovered the talent?
Okay, let me just make an example before I go to where I'm going to.
Yeah.
Check Baxter. When Baxter came in, those youngsters were still there, and we hadn't signed that much. But now check, those youngsters didn't play under Baxter because he didn't believe in them. Gavin Hunt, for example, Gavin Hunt, you can go where he's coached before.
Yeah.
He's someone who believes in experienced players who play the type of way that he wants to play. But if he has youngsters that are playing very well, you'll see they will always play. It's easy, and he's very loyal to those youngsters. Every team. I can go to Super Sport, I can go to Vets. I can go to the likes of Pagamani Mahlambi at Vets, Domingo, Riff Prosler. Like every team, even now at Super Sport, I know they don't spend too much in signing, but the youngsters that he believes they are good, he will always play that youngster. So coming to us, that we didn't have the luxury to sign because of the ban. But I think if you can see the consistent youngsters that he was playing, Umashiane and Khosi, he was playing them consistently because they were playing to the style that he wanted us to play, and he believed in them, especially Unjabulo Blom.
Yeah.
Gavin Hunt, almost after every game, he used to praise the young boy because of the ground because Gavin Hunt wants a defensive midfielder who covers a lot of ground. Njabulo Blom gave him that, and he needs someone who's a bit physical in the midfield. He gave him that, and Gavin Hunt always played the boy. Umashiane also gave him that blind run on the side, on the left. It worked for him because that's what Gavin Hunt likes. Khosi, as a 10 there, he was also playing well. So I think he played them, besides us not having a transfer ban, but I think Gavin Hunt saw the boys were giving him what he wanted. So it's more of him saying, these guys are giving me what I want, let me
Sure.
play them.
Sure.
But yes, yeah, it might have had an effect that we were having a transfer ban, but I believe that he played them because he saw they gave him what he wanted.
No, mina ngiyakuzwa. And I want to ask this question, ukuthi, given what you said earlier, ukuthi our young players have been struggling because the whole team has been struggling. What's the way forward then, like in the next season or two? Because we're not flying yet. So what do we do with them in the meantime? Because on one hand, I've always been saying, send them out on a loan on another PSL club. But a lot of people then say, but Mpilo, look at all the players that we usually send out on loan. They never come back or something ends up happening. In your own view, what do we do with the young players that we have while we're still struggling right now?
Okay. There's something that you just said now about taking the players on loans. If you can check across the PSL, generally, players that were produced by a certain team, for example, you can say Chiefs, Sundowns, Pirates, the players that they had produced from development and they took them to loan, just give me how many, like in terms of the ratios, how many have made it back to the team?
Sure. Yes,
If you were
yes.
to check the numbers, how many have made it back to the team?
It's
Just
shaking.
mention, okay, it's shaking.
It's shaking.
Even if you were to say Percy Tau, for example, but you'll check when Percy Tau went to Sundowns, when was it?
That's a long time.
So you see, you should check all the players that were developed by certain teams, and now they were taken to loan, and for them to come back and fit well, it's rare. It's very rare. It's something that's very rare,
Sure.
especially for big teams like Chiefs, Pirates, or Sundowns. So now loaning players out, for me, I think it depends also in terms of where you are loaning them out to. But for me, I think it's something that hasn't worked well. And now, to a certain extent, I agree with what Kevin and the management did now by not signing the players. I know most people are critical about that. But what I felt that, some of the boys there are now turning 20, some are now turning 21, 22. What were we going to do with those boys? Because if you check the average age in DDC, it's like 2019, 18 downwards. So now, what are you going to do with those players, especially those that are talented? Abo Mfundo, he's still young, I understand. Youngson, Aiden McCarthy, Abo Gumede, Abo Druba. What are you going to do with those boys? Because they are going to phase out while you are still saying, okay, now I'm signing, I'm going for quality players, I'm signing. The boys are going to phase out, and I think sometimes their careers get killed by that. Those things like loans. Majority of them, they go for loans. Even where they go to, they struggle for game time, because teams now in the NFD, they want to get promotion.
Yeah.
They are not patient enough to give the boys a chance. So I agree with Kevin Johnson now when they didn't sign players and also brought some players into the first team to try and give them that chance to be with the team, and maybe they'll get minutes. Maybe they'll get minutes. But there's certain players that I feel that we can offload, that we already developed before, because I think they are not exceptional enough for us to say this player we should keep here. He was our development player, we should keep here. For example, Sabelo Khadebe, I still can't get why we're keeping him, honestly. He's good, but he's not exceptional for you to say, this one I have to keep. But Umashiani, for me personally, had we been patient enough and worked on the boy to make him a good left back, the boy is good technically. I think there's no left player who can cost Martian in our team. Had we been patient enough, and try to make him a good left back, because most left backs, they were wingers before and they became left backs afterwards, because they played the position more. Abo Hoto, Abo Kolo, Ake Sibande at Stellenbosch, Abu
Stellenbosch.
Basadin. Those guys were wingers, yeah. But now the team, they were given an opportunity to play left back, even though they are not that good defensively, but they grow with playing in the position. He's one player that I think not that us we failed him, but had we been patient with him and trusting him with the left back position, I think we'd be benefiting a lot from him now.
Yeah,
But
because it
yeah,
certainly give us more
generally,
than Shant.
definitely the overlaps, the boys, the blind run that boy does,
Mm,
and his deliveries.
mm,
Oh, we could gain a lot from. But now because we are at the same time we are cautious that we don't want to concede. We play Abohlanti, and Abohlanti the legs are running out.
mm.
Even Abohlanti defending, the legs are running out
It's
as
not
well
make
when they have
sure.
to defend.
Yeah,
Not make sure, my brother.
yeah.
So had we, yeah. So I think we need to give these boys a chance.
Mm,
I know it's at the expense of us having not won trophies for a long time, but if we give the boys a chance and we show them that we believe in them, like what happened during the Gavin Hunt era, you'll see the boys playing up to their abilities.
mm,
Many people are saying, nah, we shouldn't promote even a single player. We are not at luxury to do that. We should buy quality. Sometimes this is something that they could have done when they brought in Mangete and tried to stick along that. But hence I'm saying, hey, you see, sometimes doing things misinformed.
mm,
I think we would have been somewhere now with this. Some of our development players, we could have been somewhere now had we believed in our vision and had the right people there. I think we could have been somewhere by now. People can find me on Twitter, Cello_Chopper.